doing writing, like how do you kind of help people not overthink when it comes to writing books? Or like what's your tip for making sure you don't overthink when you're writing with a lot of these different personalities?
Yeah, it's really key, because I am definitely a chronic overthinker myself as a philosopher, you might imagine. And when I was writing philosophy papers, man, I was just stuck in my head and I was overwriting and overthinking all the time. And so I've really had to work to kind of break out of that mold since I've started writing for my business. And I have a book coming out in October. It's going to be released October 1st, and it's called Unwritten, The Thought Leader's Guide to Not Overthinking Your Business Book. So my biggest tip around not overthinking is, the writing, just remember that a book is a snapshot of your brain. You're writing a book for your business. It's only valuable to you when it's out in the world. So don't spend 3 years, 5 years working on your book, chipping away at it. Take some time, say, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to focus on the book and get it done. Hit your word count goal every week. That's one of my biggest tips. Figure out how fast you can write, how well you write, do some timed writing for yourself, and then set some goals that are realistic and hit those word count goals. That's the fastest way to get to your draft.
Very well said, and I agree with you. And I was listening to one of your podcasts. You talk about like that process of like basically you as soon as you get it, you say you have a start date, even if it's a blog. You're like I have a start date and an end date.
Yeah.
It's going to be 16 weeks. It's going to take this amount of time, and you stick to it. You say you have a
Yeah.
1,000 word day. It's like I really appreciate how you kind of meticulously go through all those steps.
Yeah, exactly. A book, good length for a business book is 40,000 words. So if you say, okay, I'm going to start this day and I want it to be done this day, do the math, to take the number of words you need and divide by the number of days you have to write it, and that's your word count goal. It's a
That
pretty simple formula, but yeah, it's the thing that works. I don't think there's a ton of writing advice that I have to give. That's the thing that helps me get my books done for my clients. That's the thing that helps me get my writing done for my business. So
random, but Kobe Bryant also does that or did that too. Like he talked about how he said when he came into the league, people were years ahead of him in some of their talent pools. And he basically said, if I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and I do a morning workout, then I do another hooping session, then I do
yeah,
another, in a couple
yes.
years, I'm gonna lap everybody that's ever been in front of me. And that's kind of the same thing what you're talking about with writing, is that approach.
Yeah, exactly. I remember hearing, I think, do you know Mike Birbiglia? He's a comedian. He has a podcast. But anyway, I was just speaking of podcasts, I was just listening to an episode with him, and he said he learned this from Pete Sampras, the tennis player. Like, you hit 90 serves first thing in the morning, and every day you hit 90 serves, and like that's you put in the reps, like people say. And it's the same with anything any big project in your business that you're trying to get done.
Yeah, speaking of big projects, I want to talk about the Pocket PhD. Like, can you talk a little bit about the origins and what kind of sparked the idea?
Yeah, totally. So I used to be a philosophy professor, like I said, and when I was ready to leave academia, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought about what I liked before I liked philosophy. What was it that I thought I wanted to do before I wanted to be a professor? And the answer was, well, I thought marketing was cool when I was a kid. So a friend of a friend was looking for marketing help, and I ended up ghost blogging. We didn't call it that. She called it content marketing. But that's what it was. I was writing blogs for her and her clients. She has a web development company, so she had clients who also needed blogs. This was 2015, and I think business blogging was kind of coming into its heyday. So I said, well, at some point she said, you could start a business doing this. And then I said, okay, that's what I'll do. But then I realized, if I want to make a living blogging, I have to write like 10 blogs a week. Seemed like a lot, at the time, and what I was getting paid. And so, I said, I think I can write longer things. And so I started writing books. I started finding my way to my first book ghostwriting clients. But that's how it started. I decided to leave academia, and I didn't want a 9 to 5 job. So I thought starting a business was the best option for me.
If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you head over to www.bookupapp.com to download our app so you can connect with your favorite bookish content creators, start conversations, and start your own book club.